it also represents temporary supply. Everybody say temporary.
Temporary.
Okay, what do I mean by that? You see, when Israel got to the promised land, that land would be a land that was agriculturally rich. The Bible describes it as a land that flowed with milk and honey. So they would be on a different diet once they got in the promised land. The manna was temporary supply, just to hold them over until they got to where God was taking them.
All right.
Their challenge was they got frustrated with the manna because what was temporary they confused to be eternal. And sometimes when you don't have what you see, you just got to look at what you have and say, it's just manna. When you don't get the opportunity you want, thank God for the manna. When you don't get the open door that we want, thank God for the manna. Somebody say, it's just manna, it's just manna, it's just manna, it's just manna. Sometimes God gives you temporary supply. And manna also represents the season where God supernaturally suffocates your supply. When he gave them manna, he would only give them enough for one day. If they tried to store the manna till the next day, it was spoiled. The only exception was the day before the Sabbath, so they wouldn't have to work on the Sabbath. But in each and every other instance, God supernaturally limited their supply for a season. Because when they got to the promised land, their prayer requests would change. There were things they had to pray for in the wilderness that they wouldn't have to pray for in Canaan. They had to pray for food in the wilderness. But when they got in Canaan, it was a land flowing with milk and honey. So God had to wean them from Pharaoh's hand and to teach them who their source really was, so that when they got to Canaan, they wouldn't get the grapes and lose God. They would remember and realize where their help came from. And Israel did not manage the manna. But I believe I've got some people in this room today who will say, Pastor, I'm going to manage this wilderness season and I'm going to manage this manna because I know this is simply a pit stop on the way to my purpose. This is just a detour on the way to my destiny. And what I love about this story is this. Israel was surprised by what happened in their life, but God was not surprised. I want you to see this. Just because you're surprised doesn't mean you aren't ready. Just because you weren't expecting it doesn't mean you're not prepared for it. Because I told you earlier today, God is the only one that will take you through school and not even tell you you've been in class. And what you have gone through in your life prior to this point has been preparing you for the season of the unexpected that you're dealing with. And I came to tell you tonight that you're strong enough, that you're smart enough, that you're wise enough, that you're anointed enough, that you're appointed enough to handle this season. You will not die in the wilderness. Your ministry won't die in the wilderness. Your life